Grief is often misunderstood as something to be overcome quickly, a challenge or problem to be fixed and left behind. Society frequently encourages us to move on, as if grief were a hurdle to clear rather than an experience to live through. But grief is not a problem waiting for a solution. It is a profound human experience, complex, deeply personal, and enduring. To truly engage with grief, we must first shift our mindset from viewing it as a temporary obstacle to embracing it as a vital part of our evolving human journey. Grief is not something external that we can separate from ourselves. It is woven into the fabric of our being after loss. It changes who we are, how we see the world, and how we relate to others. When someone we love is gone, the absence creates a void that ripples through every aspect of our life. This absence isn't just physical, it alters our emotional landscape, our sense of security, and our understanding of meaning. Attempting to move on too quickly can lead to denial or suppression, which only postpones the real work of healing. Instead, embracing grief means accepting its presence, its unpredictability, and the ways it can resurface unexpectedly. This acceptance doesn't mean resigning ourselves to endless pain, but rather recognizing grief as a natural response to profound loss. Grief is not linear. It does not follow a neat progression from sadness to acceptance, as popular models sometimes suggest. Instead, it ebbs and flows like the tide, sometimes calm and sometimes overwhelming. Accepting grief means acknowledging that these fluctuations are normal and that healing is not about erasing grief, but learning to live with it. When we stop resisting grief and start to welcome it, we open ourselves to the possibility of transformation. This transformation is subtle and gradual but powerful. It reshapes our inner world and our outer relationships. This process of embracing grief involves giving ourselves permission to feel deeply, to cry, to be angry, or to sit in silence. It means resisting the societal pressure to appear strong or unaffected. There is courage in vulnerability, in allowing ourselves to be fully present with the pain rather than pushing it away. This presence with grief can be unsettling, but it is necessary for authentic healing. When we allow grief to be, we also allow the memories, the love, and the connection to continue living within us in a new form. To embrace grief also means understanding that it carries lessons. Each person's experience with grief is unique, but common themes emerge: the reminder of our own mortality, the preciousness of connection, and the impermanence of life. Grief exposes what we truly value. When we hold grief close, it becomes a lens through which we can appreciate life more fully, honor relationships more deeply, and develop greater compassion for others who suffer. This is not a denial of pain, but an acknowledgement that from pain can arise wisdom. The process of embracing grief also calls for patience. Healing does not conform to a schedule, and society's impatience can add to the burden. Friends and colleagues may expect that a certain amount of time has passed, and that one should be over it. This external pressure can cause feelings of isolation or guilt. Recognizing grief as a reality to embrace means resisting these external expectations and honoring our own rhythms and needs. It means allowing grief to unfold in its own time and on its own terms. In practice, embracing grief might look like creating spaces where grief is acknowledged and honored. Whether through rituals, storytelling, art, or simple acts of remembrance. It might involve seeking out communities or support groups where grief is met with understanding rather than avoidance. It also involves self-compassion, treating oneself kindly and gently as one navigates the dark and often confusing landscape of loss. In essence, Embracing grief transforms the narrative from one of loss as an ending to loss as a transformation. It becomes not a period to escape, but a dimension of life to be integrated. Through this integration, grief becomes a source of strength, a connection to what matters most, and a testament to love's enduring power. To move forward with grief is to live fully with it, to carry it with grace rather than discard it. It is an act of courage, authenticity, and profound humanity. This is the first step toward healing, not by moving on, but by moving forward with the reality of grief as part of who we are. Grief, while often viewed solely as a source of pain and suffering, possesses a transformative power that is frequently overlooked. When we face loss, it shakes the very foundation of our lives, but it also opens a doorway to profound personal growth and transformation. The experience of grief compels us to confront the depths of our emotions, which in turn cultivates empathy and compassion. These qualities are not simply abstract ideals. They are practical tools that shape how we relate to others and navigate the complexities of life. Through grief, our emotional sensitivity is heightened, allowing us to connect more deeply with the pain and struggles of those around us. This connection enriches our relationships and fosters a sense of shared humanity. The transformative power of grief also lies in its capacity to broaden our perspective. When faced with loss, the world as we knew it changes, and so does our understanding of what truly matters. We are forced to reassess our priorities and values, often emerging with a clearer vision of what is important. This reevaluation can inspire us to live more intentionally, embracing the present moment and investing in relationships and pursuits that bring genuine meaning. The disruption caused by grief can dismantle old patterns and beliefs that no longer serve us, creating space for new growth and insight. Resilience is another remarkable gift that grief can foster. The journey through grief is challenging, requiring strength and perseverance. Each step forward, even when small, builds resilience, a deep inner resource that equips us to face future challenges with greater courage and fortitude. Resilience born from grief is not about denying pain or putting on a facade of strength. It is about acknowledging vulnerability while choosing to continue despite it. This kind of resilience transforms how we experience life's difficulties and enables us to approach them with a mindset of growth rather than defeat. The process of transformation through grief also encourages creativity and self-expression. Many people find that their grief inspires them to explore new outlets for their emotions, writing, art, music, or other forms of expression. This creative process becomes a way to process the complex feelings associated with loss, giving shape and voice to experiences that may be difficult to articulate otherwise. Creativity born from grief can be healing not only for the individual, but also for those who encounter and resonate with that expression. It turns personal pain into something meaningful and shared. Moreover, grief often deepens our spiritual awareness. Regardless of religious or spiritual beliefs, the experience of loss raises profound questions about life, death, purpose, and connection. This existential inquiry can lead to a richer spiritual life or a renewed sense of meaning and belonging. Grief strips away superficial distractions and compels us to grapple with life's fundamental truths. In doing so, it often uncovers a deeper sense of awe, wonder, and gratitude for life itself. It is important to note that this transformation is not automatic or guaranteed. It requires openness and willingness to engage with grief rather than avoid it. It means facing the discomfort and uncertainty that come with loss. Those who resist or suppress grief may delay or diminish the potential for growth that it offers. Embracing grief fully with all its pain and complexity creates the conditions for transformation. This does not minimize the hardship of grief, but it acknowledges that within suffering lies the potential for profound personal evolution. This transformative journey through grief also affects how we view success and failure. Loss teaches us that life is unpredictable and fragile, prompting a shift away from external achievements toward internal fulfillment. The values cultivated through grief, compassion, empathy, resilience, creativity, become markers of success that transcend traditional measures like wealth or status. This redefinition aligns us with a deeper, more enduring sense of purpose and achievement. As we move through grief, we often find that our capacity for kindness and generosity expands. Having known profound loss, we are more attuned to the pain of others and more motivated to support them. This empathy fosters stronger communities and more meaningful human connections. Grief, in this sense, is not isolating but profoundly uniting. It reminds us that vulnerability and suffering are universal experiences, and that through shared humanity, we find strength and healing. In summary, the power of grief to transform lies in its ability to deepen empathy, broaden perspective, cultivate resilience, inspire creativity, enhance spiritual awareness, and redefine success. It invites us to engage fully with the complexities of loss and emerge with a richer, more compassionate, and courageous self. This transformative potential is a vital aspect of the human experience, one that honors both the pain of loss and the possibility of growth that follows. Moving forward with grief requires an intentional and ongoing effort to integrate loss into the fabric of our lives rather than trying to erase it or pretend it never happened. Grief is not a process with a neat endpoint, but a journey that evolves and transforms over time. The idea of moving forward with grief acknowledges that the pain of loss does not simply vanish but changes shape, becoming a part of our personal narrative. This shift allows us to carry grief alongside our joy, hope, and aspirations without being overwhelmed or defined by it. One of the essential components of moving forward with grief is acceptance. Acceptance does not mean resignation or giving up hope. Rather, it means recognizing the reality of what has happened and allowing ourselves to feel the full spectrum of emotions that come with it. This includes sadness, anger, confusion, and even moments of peace or gratitude. When we accept grief as a natural and valid response to loss, we open the door to healing. Denying or resisting grief often prolongs suffering and complicates recovery because the unresolved emotions linger beneath the surface. Another critical element is the cultivation of resilience and adaptability. Life after loss is rarely the same, and it requires us to adapt to new circumstances and find ways to function in a changed world. This adaptation is not about forgetting the past, but learning to live with it in a way that honors both our loss and our future. Resilience emerges as we develop new routines, establish new sources of support, and create meaning from the experience of grief. These adaptive behaviors reinforce our ability to move forward without losing sight of what we have lost. Integrating grief into our lives also involves creating rituals and practices that honor our loss while encouraging ongoing growth. These might include commemorative events, personal reflections, or creative expressions like writing or art. Such rituals serve as anchors, allowing us to remember and celebrate the life or relationship that was lost while also acknowledging our continuing journey. Through these acts of remembrance, grief becomes a living part of us, something we carry with dignity rather than something we try to discard. The role of community and connection cannot be overstated in the process of moving forward with grief. Sharing our experiences with trusted friends, family, or support groups provides validation and reduces the isolation that often accompanies loss. Community creates a space where vulnerability is met with compassion and understanding, making it safer to confront difficult emotions. Connection also reminds us that we are not alone in our struggles and that shared human experiences can provide strength and comfort. Self-compassion plays a pivotal role in this journey. Grief often comes with feelings of guilt, regret, or self-blame. Being kind and patient with ourselves during times of grief allows for a gentler process of healing. Self-compassion involves acknowledging that pain is part of being human and that we deserve care and understanding from ourselves as much as from others. It encourages us to treat ourselves with the same empathy we would offer a dear friend in sorrow. Another aspect of moving forward is the willingness to find meaning and purpose in the aftermath of loss. This meaning-making does not imply that the loss was necessary or justified, but that through it, we can discover new values, passions, or commitments. Many people find that grief awakens a deeper sense of purpose or motivates them to contribute to causes that resonate with their experience. This transformation gives grief a role beyond suffering. It becomes a catalyst for positive change and renewed direction. Embracing the uncertainty and ambiguity that accompany grief is also vital. Unlike many other experiences, grief does not follow a linear path, and progress can be uneven and unpredictable. Moments of progress may be followed by unexpected waves of sadness or longing. Accepting this unpredictability reduces frustration and helps us maintain patience with ourselves. It encourages a mindset of openness, where we learn to live with paradox and complexity rather than seeking premature closure. Finally, moving forward with grief is about reclaiming life while holding space for the past. It involves balancing the tension between remembrance and renewal, honoring what was lost while also embracing new possibilities. This balance allows us to build a life that is enriched by the depth of our experience rather than diminished by it. By choosing to move forward with grief, we affirm our resilience, our capacity for love, and our commitment to living fully despite loss. This journey requires courage, vulnerability, and persistence, but it is through these qualities that we find not only survival but transformation. Moving forward with grief is a testament to the human spirit's ability to endure and flourish, even in the face of profound sorrow. It is a path that honors both the past and the future, allowing us to carry grief as a source of strength and wisdom rather than as a burden. Community and connection serve as fundamental pillars in the journey of moving forward with grief, providing a crucial foundation that supports healing and growth. The experience of grief can often feel isolating and deeply personal, as though the weight of loss separates us from others who seem untouched by similar pain. Yet, paradoxically, the shared nature of grief creates an opportunity for profound connection. When we engage with others, whether through family, friends, support groups, or even broader communities, we tap into a collective reservoir of empathy and understanding that can be transformative. One of the most significant benefits of community is the validation it offers. Grief can provoke a range of intense emotions, from sorrow to anger, confusion to despair. Without a supportive network, these feelings may seem abnormal or overwhelming, fostering a sense of alienation. When we share our stories with those who have faced similar experiences, we realize that our feelings are not only valid but shared by others. This validation reduces the burden of shame or guilt, often associated with grief, and encourages openness and honesty about one's emotional state. Connection also provides a safe space for vulnerability, a critical element in processing grief. Vulnerability means allowing ourselves to express raw and often uncomfortable emotions, to admit uncertainty and pain, and to ask for help when needed. In a caring community, vulnerability is met with compassion rather than judgment. This compassionate response creates an environment where individuals feel supported and understood, fostering trust and deepening relationships. The power of simply being heard and held in empathy cannot be overstated. It can be the catalyst for healing and resilience. Social support influences the physiological and psychological aspects of grief as well. Research consistently shows that strong social connections improve mental health, reducing symptoms of depression and anxiety that commonly accompany loss. Being part of a community can lower stress hormones, enhance immune function, and contribute to a greater sense of well-being. The act of connecting with others who are empathetic can interrupt the cycle of rumination and isolation that often exacerbates grief. Instead, it encourages engagement with life and promotes adaptive coping strategies. Communities dedicated to grief support often provide structured opportunities for healing through shared rituals and storytelling. Participating in memorial services, support groups, or workshops allows individuals to express their grief collectively, honoring the memory of loved ones while also acknowledging their own ongoing journey. These rituals serve as a bridge between past and present, enabling participants to maintain a connection with what was lost while fostering a sense of hope and continuity. Storytelling, in particular, is a powerful tool. It allows individuals to reconstruct their narratives, making meaning out of loss and situating it within the broader context of their lives. Connection is not limited to direct, in-person relationships. In today's world, virtual communities and online forums have become vital spaces for people navigating grief. These platforms offer anonymity and accessibility, making it easier for some to reach out without fear of stigma. The global reach of online communities means that individuals can find support from diverse perspectives and cultures, enriching their understanding and experience of grief. While virtual connections may lack the physical presence of traditional communities, they nevertheless provide emotional sustenance and a sense of belonging. The role of community also extends to the everyday interactions that occur outside formal support settings. Simple acts of kindness, listening, checking in, sharing a meal, can significantly ease the burden of grief. These moments of connection reinforce that we are not alone and that our pain matters to others. Communities often rally around individuals in practical ways as well, offering help with tasks or responsibilities that may feel overwhelming during times of loss. This tangible support complements emotional care, addressing the holistic needs of those who grieve. However, the process of seeking and maintaining community support requires effort and courage. Grief can sometimes make individuals withdraw, retreating into solitude as a form of self-protection. Overcoming this tendency involves recognizing the importance of connection and taking proactive steps to engage with others. It may mean reaching out despite fear of vulnerability or finding new groups and spaces when previous connections no longer feel supportive. Persistence in fostering relationships is essential, as the journey through grief is long and often nonlinear. Importantly, community and connection help to reshape our identity after loss. Grief can profoundly alter how we see ourselves and our place in the world. Through interactions with others, we receive feedback, affirmation, and alternative perspectives that assist in reconstructing a sense of self. Relationships provide mirrors reflecting our strengths, resilience, and capacity for love, even amid sorrow. This relational aspect of healing is crucial because it counters the isolation grief can impose and anchors us in shared humanity. Moreover, connection fosters hope and motivation. Witnessing others who have navigated grief and found ways to live meaningful lives can inspire those currently struggling. These stories of endurance and transformation serve as beacons, demonstrating that while grief changes us, it need not define or confine us. Communities often become sources of collective wisdom, where knowledge, coping strategies, and encouragement are exchanged freely. This mutual support generates momentum, helping individuals to envision a future beyond their current pain. Ultimately, community and connection are not just supportive elements. They are transformative forces that enable us to move forward with grief rather than being immobilized by it. They remind us that we are part of a larger human experience, one where pain and healing coexist. Through shared presence, empathy, and mutual care, community turns grief from a solitary burden into a collective journey, illuminating the path toward resilience, acceptance, and renewed life. Finding meaning after loss is a crucial and deeply personal aspect of the grief journey, acting as a compass that guides us through the darkness of sorrow toward a place of understanding and growth. Loss can initially feel like a void, a rupture in the fabric of our lives that leaves us searching for answers and struggling to reconcile what was with what now is. The process of finding meaning is not about diminishing the pain or pretending that the loss didn't happen. Rather, it involves integrating that experience into the larger story of our lives in a way that fosters healing and transformation. Meaning can emerge in various forms. For some, it arises through reflection and the creation of narratives that help explain the loss in the context of their values, beliefs, or life goals. These narratives often include acknowledging the impact the lost person or thing had on their lives, recognizing the lessons learned, and appreciating the moments shared. Storytelling becomes a therapeutic act, a way to honor what was lost while also reclaiming a sense of agency and purpose. By reframing loss as a chapter rather than the end of the book, individuals can find ways to carry forward the legacy and influence of what they grieve. Another powerful way people find meaning after loss is through acts of service and contribution. Transforming grief into purposeful action can provide a sense of continuity and hope. Many who have experienced loss choose to engage in causes related to their experience, supporting others who suffer similar losses, advocating for change, or dedicating their lives to work that aligns with the values of the person they lost. This outward focus shifts the narrative from victimhood to empowerment, offering a way to channel pain into positive impact. The act of helping others not only honors the memory of what was lost, but also creates a tangible expression of resilience and love. Spirituality or philosophical inquiry often plays a significant role in making sense of grief, whether through religious faith, meditation, or personal contemplation. Exploring existential questions about life, death, and purpose can provide comfort and perspective. Many find solace in the belief that there is a greater plan or that life continues in some form beyond physical existence. Others may find meaning in the acceptance of impermanence and the recognition that suffering is part of the human condition. These perspectives can reduce feelings of isolation and foster a sense of connection to something larger than oneself. The search for meaning after loss also involves embracing the paradoxes inherent in grief. It means holding space for sorrow and joy, presence and absence, ending and beginning. Meaning is not always found in neat, conclusive answers, but often in the ongoing dialogue between heartache and hope. This dynamic process allows individuals to acknowledge the depth of their pain while simultaneously discovering new aspects of themselves and their lives. Growth often occurs not despite grief, but through it, as the struggle to find meaning fosters resilience, empathy, and wisdom. It is important to recognize that finding meaning is not a linear or obligatory process. Grief does not follow a prescribed timeline, nor does everyone find meaning in the same way or at the same pace. For some, meaning may never fully manifest, and that is a valid experience. The pressure to make sense of loss can sometimes be overwhelming or even detrimental if it minimizes the reality of pain. Compassion toward oneself and patience with the process are essential, allowing meaning to unfold organically rather than forcing it prematurely. Creative expression often serves as a valuable outlet for exploring and articulating meaning in the aftermath of loss. Writing, painting, music, or other forms of art can provide a language for emotions that are difficult to verbalize. These creative acts become a bridge between internal experience and external reality, helping individuals to process their grief and communicate their journey to others. Through creativity, meaning takes shape in tangible forms that can be revisited and shared, enriching the healing process. Connection with nature is another avenue through which meaning may be found. Many people report a renewed appreciation for the natural world after experiencing loss, seeing in it cycles of growth, decay, and renewal that mirror their own emotional landscape. Time spent in nature can foster mindfulness and presence, grounding individuals in the here and now while reminding them of life's continuity beyond individual suffering. This connection often nurtures a sense of peace and acceptance, contributing to the redefinition of purpose and meaning. Community involvement further enhances the search for meaning by providing shared spaces where experiences of loss are understood and respected. Engaging with others who have walked similar paths allows individuals to witness diverse ways of making meaning and to receive support as they navigate their own. This communal aspect underscores that while grief is deeply personal, it is also a universal experience that binds humanity. The exchange of stories, rituals, and support enriches the collective wisdom around loss and healing, reinforcing the idea that meaning is often co-created. Ultimately, finding meaning after loss transforms grief from a solely destructive force into one with creative and constructive potential. It opens the possibility of emerging from grief with a renewed sense of identity, purpose, and connection. Meaning does not erase the pain of loss, but reframes it, allowing us to carry it with us as part of a broader, richer human experience. In this way, meaning becomes a powerful tool for moving forward, honoring what was lost while embracing the future with openness and courage.